Peter Eliades with you. This is Stock Market Cycles Update for Wednesday, December 16. Have a few things to look at today of interest. The first one is we're going to go through some of the projections for gold, GLD. It's popular with a lot of you. I know a lot of you follow it. So this is one of the shorter offsets. This is a 3.5 to 4 for a nominal 10-day projection. And that was given and met today. And in the meantime, what it accomplished doing was invalidating this downside projection, which had been given back on December 10th. You can never be confident of projections either upside or downside when they don't start materializing fairly quickly. When you see a downside crossing like this, let me take these numbers away, a downside crossing like this that takes place on a sideways move and even the next day no big down move, then you're going to be wary about this downside projection, okay? We did get an upside projection. It was confirmed yesterday, and it was met today. So let's go to the next longer offset. I think most of you know what it is. Now, this is a thing of beauty because it shows a lot of things about cycle projections. First of all, we had the upside projection that was confirmed on December 7th up to 178.22 to 179.42 on GLD, the gold ETF. And a day after we had a nice upside after the projection, we had a big gap down day and started to go sideways. This was very important territory because, as you know, if the signal line, the light blue line, which is the midpoint of the high and low for the day, if it had gone sideways the very next day, this upside projection would have been invalidated. So look and see what prices actually did. It's as if they are aware that the 7 to 8 day offsets are there. Big move up here, keeping it above both offsets. Nice move up here today, keeping it above both offsets. Now it could slip into here, but this projection remains in effect until or unless we cross back below these offsets, 7 to 8 trading days, nominal 20-day projections. And again, yesterday we looked at the next longer one, 12.1 to 13.8, and we have this projection up here. Now, there's plenty of room to go sideways to down with this projection and still not invalidated. So, as I said for the past couple of days, the lean in bullish or bearish direction right now on the GLD and on the gold complex is to the upside. Okay, now I want to take a look at something that I think is important, and that's the NDX. Okay, we're going to look at the NDX in detail today because it has been the market leader for a long time. And we told you a few weeks ago that we tried to match up the highest projection we could get on the NDX with those projections that were 10 to 15% higher on the Dow and the S&P cash. So let's take a look at the NDX and work our way down. This is one of the longer projections, the equivalent of a 39-week offset, nominal 78 to 80-week projections. And as you can see, there's not going to be any big upside projection here. We got just a tiny bit below it back at the lows. This was back at the March lows, and then immediately came back above it. So it didn't get way below the offset, in which case it could generate a much higher projection. So let's look at the next shorter offset, okay? Let's look at the next shorter offset, 96.8. And here's what it looks like here. We did get below it from the March low, but we immediately gave an upside projection and met it fairly quickly, coming into May of this year. Okay, we're working our way down now in offsets. We usually work our way up, and I want to work my way down on a progression to show you what's left with the NDX. Okay, this is 48.4 to 55.3. We had this nice upside projection coming off the March low, and we met it. We finally got up to it around August of this year. Let's take a look at the next longer one, or the next shorter one, I should say, 24.2 to 27.6. Okay, now this is one we want to pay attention to. I think this is the one that I said if we took the upper side of it, it might match up fairly closely with the upside projections on the S&P and on the Dow, the DJIA. And that's all the way up to 13,542.68, about another 900 points, and that's like another 7 or 8% up from here. That's the high side of this projection. But what I want to call your attention to is, let's extend right on this projection. Look at this. Let's zoom in on this, take a closer look at it. We are definitely inside this projection window, okay? So this is the first projection window we've seen that is outstanding to the upside, although when I say outstanding, that's just the upper side of it. The lower side of it has been met, as you can see, okay? So let's go on to the next shorter offset, 12.1 to 13.8. Let's extend this one right. There we go again. It was hit back here. We got inside the projection window on December 7th and 8th, and we're back inside it again. There is an upside to this one. The upside calls for 12,901.16. But we are inside the projection window, okay? So for practical purposes, the lower side of the projection has been met, and that means that this offset projection has been met on a minimal basis. Let's go to the next shorter offset, 7 to 8. Look at this. This projection was given after this this was theoretically a downside projection, but it was one of those that, as I explained earlier, we don't give that much credence to because it was given on this bar right here, and we immediately turned up from there and invalidated it, I think, the very next day, and gave this projection, which has been hit both yesterday and today. So that's the 7 to 8 day offset. Let's look at the next shorter one, 3.5 to 4. We finally have a projection that has not been met even on a minimal basis. Let's give it to you. 12,771 and change to 12,803 and change. That projection is outstanding, and we have not entered into the projection window. And finally, just so we cover all the territory, we'll look at the very shortest one, the 175 to 2, and as you can see, that was met a couple of days ago. So that covers all the offsets for NDX. And the important point to make is that every single projection on the NDX has been met on a minimal basis, except for the 3.5 to 4 offset for a nominal 10-day projection. That's this one here. When and if this one is met, then you can say that all upside projections have been met on the NDX on at least on a minimal basis. And that's pretty important, because if that's the case, you can start to make a case, at least on the NDX, that we are at an important market high. Now, I've told you many times I don't think that's going to happen here because of the advanced decline line. So we're going to keep an eye on this whole structure, the interrelationship between the NDX, the Dow, and the S&P, and the advanced decline line. Let's take a quick look at the AD line today. This is where we stood today. Remember, I told you yesterday, if we broke above this level, getting up about here, then that you could interpret that bullishly. We're breaking through these trend lines, but we haven't done that yet. So let's see what happens. The next couple of days could be very important for the overall market picture. That's it for now. I'll talk to you tomorrow.